Right friends, welcome back to News Analysis and Features. So this is 38th week from 14th to 20th September. We are going to discuss two important events. One is about our neighboring country, that is Hindu monarchy to secular federal democracy. The transformation of Himalayan country, Nepal, from Hindu monarchy to secular federal democracy. We are going to discuss what are the challenges being faced by Nepal in view of the agitation by Madhesis and Tharus. Second important point is about Japan. The change in policy from self-defense doctrine to collective self-defense doctrine in Japan, and how the world is viewing it, and what is the relevance of this change in policy of Japan on the world as a whole. Right. So, the first one is from Hindu monarchy to secular federal democracy. Previously, the country for more than 200 years was ruled by a monarch, or you can say king, and it was a Hindu country, and now it became secular country. This is Nepal. Before going into the details, let us have a snapshot on Nepal. Nepal is a Himalayan country. Around 40% are living below poverty line. Per capita income is very less. Tourism is the mainstay because beautiful locations of Himalayas are the God's gift to Nepalese people, and it is the country with ancient image. In addition to the Nepalese language, there are several indigenous groups, and the country people speak more than 100 languages, and the GDP is very less. The currency is the Nepalese rupee, and India has got a good relation with Nepal, and India-Nepal Friendship Treaty was signed in 1950, and Nepal is dependent on India through the land routes. Because of the reason, it is the hilly country, and all the essential supplies normally moves from India through the border checkposts. So, under these circumstances, the constitution assumed significance, and there are agitations, and India expressed concern, and in several quarters India's stand was criticized, and some people commented India behaved like a big brother. And these things we are going to discuss today. What exactly the problem with the Nepal constitution? And let us look at the snapshot into history of Nepal. Nepal was ruled by Hindu monarchy for around 240 years. You can say till up to 2008. Up to 2008, Nepal was ruled by Hindu monarchy. Quite off and on, there were agitations for establishing democracy in the country, but the violent agitations took place from early 1990s, right up to 2006. For around more than 10 years, violent armed struggle took place in Nepal for democracy, and in this connection, more than 10,000 people lost their lives, and more than 1 lakh people were displaced from their homes, and finally the violent agitation of Maoists ended with the signing of a peace treaty in the year 2006. Right? So, subsequently, elections were held in the year 2008. Maoists got elected substantial number of constituencies, or you can say Maoists and Nepali Congress became substantial forces in the elections of 2008, and for the period of 5 years, they could not come to the conclusion with regard to the framing of the constitution, and subsequently elections were once again held in the year 2013, and the new constituent assembly, after deliberating for 2 years, that means total deliberations went on for 7 years, from 2008 to 2015. The first Constituent Assembly in the year 2008 up to 2013 could not frame the Constitution. The second Constituent Assembly, which was elected in the year 2013, after a lot of deliberations, came to the conclusion and agreed upon the Constitution, and finally the Constitution was voted in the Constituent Assembly, or you can say voted by the Constituent Assembly, but certain groups boycotted it, and finally the Constitution was adopted on 20th September 2015. The Constitution was adopted on 20th September 2015, and if you look at the features of the Constitution, the features are, it is the federal. Federal means it will have states, the powers will be divided between the states as well as the center. Second thing is secular, all the religions are equal in the eye of the law, that is the meaning of secular. So the country transformed into federal and secular republic, and 7 states with the legislatures. Total there will be 7 states. In India we have 29 states. Like that, it will have 7 states with the legislatures, and the central government, you can say, will have bicameral legislature. Bicameral means just like we have lower house and upper house. Like that, House of Representatives will be 375 members and upper house will be 60 members, and the Constitution has 37 divisions, 304 articles and 7 annexes, and the boundaries of 7 provinces will be finalized by a high-end committee within 1 year. Right? So 60 to 70 years of a long democratic struggle came to an end on 20th September 2015 with the enactment of Constitution in Nepal. Any constitution will have its own teething troubles. So what are the teething troubles faced by Nepal? We are going to discuss now. Please look into this picture, Nepal's physiographical divisions. Nepal's physiographical divisions. In the southern side there are plains. If you go towards highlands, there will be highlands, and subsequently Himalayan mountain region will be there. That means starting from the lowlands, or you can say plains, the elevation of the country goes on increasing when you go towards the Himalayas. So they are divided into different regions. You can see in this picture. The regions are high Himalayan regions, high mountain regions, then middle mountain regions, then Shivalik region, then Terai region. Terai region is basically the region close to India, having border with India, and that is basically plains. Right? So this is physiographical divisions of Nepal. But let us look at what is the basic problem with the Nepal Constitution. I identified 3 problems. Out of 3 problems, the most important and the most pressing problem is problem number 1 or reason number 1. That is indigenous groups. In the country, Madhesis and Tarus. Madhesis and Tarus. These 2 groups are basically staying in Terai region. That means close to India. They are staying in plains and they felt that they are marginalized. Madhesis and Tarus, and please don't forget, Madhesis are the people which have closer bonds with India. They are very close to India. There are social economic relations between Madhesis and Indian people, and they are staying in the plains. You can call Terai region, close to India, and these people felt marginalized in the Constitution. That's why Madhesis boycotted the voting on the Constitution. What are their main grievances? The main grievance is their interests are not taken care of. The interests of Madhesis and Tarus are not taken care of. The most important point is, if you look at the geographical divisions of the state from this picture, they are situated in a strip horizontally close to Indian border. But Nepal divided the country into 7 provinces vertically. That means Madhesis will go into several provinces. Madhesis, the population will be distributed into several provinces. That is the biggest and the most important grudge of Madhesis and Tharus against the Nepal constitution, and they felt they were not taken into consideration while looking at the identification of provinces. Right? That means the interests of Madhesis and Tharus are not taken care. The second important point is this region will be split into several states. That means their dominance will end. There is a feeling that hill groups are dominating political and economic affairs of Nepal. So that's why they got a feeling that they are being marginalized, and splitting their areas into several states, they felt that their dominance will go away. Second important point is only 45% of the parliament members will be elected by proportional representation, and this may lead to less representation from Madhesis. So these are the points of Madhesis who live close to Indian border. The second important point is women activists feel that discrimination against women. If a Nepalese man marries a foreign woman, his children will get automatic citizenship of Nepal, but if the Nepalese woman marry a foreigner, her children will not get automatic citizenship of Nepal. So there are features which discriminate women, and it is very difficult for single woman to get citizenship for her children. Like that, there is a discrimination against women. This is the second point. Third and the minor point is there are some advocates of Hindu state. Some people feel the country was ruled by Hindu monarch for more than 240 years and they want a Hindu state because predominant population of Nepal are Hindus. So these are the problems, and out of these the pressing problem and the most important problem is the interests of Madhesis and Tharus. Right? And now, while framing the constitution, if you want the issue to be put in this perspective, the country is divided on two dividing lines. There is a clear-cut differentiation, or you can say the country is divided on these lines. The first group is represented by established parties like Nepali Congress or the Maoist parties. They are mainstream parties, the ruling elite class. They are from hilly region. I have already told you, the people from hilly region are ahead socially, politically, economically, and they are well advanced, and it is male dominated society, and they called the shots while framing the constitution. That is the general perception of these marginalized groups. So the country is divided based on these established parties as well as marginalized groups. If you want to put the problem in a nutshell, right, what is the way out? The way out is address the concerns of people of Terai region close to Indian border. They are Madhesis. They are strongly opposing the constitution. The issue pertaining to Madhesis is to be addressed immediately because all of you are well aware in the violence around 40 people lost their lives. The second important point is draw the boundaries of the provinces. Committee will decide ultimate boundaries of the states, and that's why amicable solution is to be found while drawing the boundaries of the states. Third is address the concerns of women's groups. And please don't forget, any constitution has to face their birth pangs. It is inevitable, and Nepal also has to face these smaller problems, and any constitution will mature and evolve in due course of time. And please don't forget, our constitution during the past 65 years, around 100 amendments were made which became necessitated from time to time. That's why Nepal also will emerge into mature constitution in due course of time, and the general perception is India overreacted in this particular episode of Madhesis, And people commented, at the time when Nepal is celebrating its constitution on 20th September, India, as the best friend of Nepal, could not take part in the celebrations, and China welcomed the constitution, and India could have reacted in better way than what they have done when they are celebrating Constitution Day on 20th September. So these are the minor hiccups which can be sorted out in due course of time by the Nepal government. Right? So let us move on to the second issue. Japan. This is change in policy from self-defense doctrine to collective self-defense doctrine. Please look into the pictures. Thousands of people protested in the streets of Japan recently. Please look into this picture. Thousands of people protested, which is a rare thing in Japan. Second important point is, in the national parliament, all of you are well aware, the parliament of Japan is a national diet. In the national parliament, people protested, which attracted the attention world over. What is the reason for these protests? Before going into the reason, I would like to tell you what happened since the end of World War II. Japan, all of you are well aware, is the advanced economy or developed country, and in the Second World War, Japan was badly defeated, and subsequently it adopted the new constitution, and the constitution came into force on 3rd May 1947. On 3rd May 1947, Japan adopted the constitution, normally known as the pacifist constitution. And what are the main features? I listed 3 features. First and the foremost of the constitution is, it outlaws war as a means to settle international disputes. That means war should never be used. It prohibits the war to settle international disputes involving various countries. Second important point is, international peace must be based on justice and order. It should not be based on hostilities. It should not be based on war, but it should be based on justice and order. Third thing is, armed forces with the war potential should not be maintained. That means the war should not take place to settle the disputes between the countries or among the countries. So, because of these features, the constitution is called pacifist constitution. From the beginning of the constitution, Japan maintained moderate defense forces, and they maintained lesser degree of arms and ammunition and advanced tanks and artillery. But in recent times, for the past 10 years, Japan is in the process of acquiring advanced arms and ammunition, artillery tanks and other associated things with the country's defense. And I would like to tell you, the constitution which they adopted since 1947, which outlaws the war and which talks about justice and order, is the pacifist constitution, and Japan followed that same path till date. It has never interfered in any of the disturbances outside. It never sent its own defense forces to protect any country. But now Japan changed this. Previous doctrine was self-defense doctrine, self-defense policy, and now it is changed to collective self-defense. Recently, Parliament passed this law, and this is a collective self-defense. So, it allows Japanese troops to fight overseas for the first time since World War II. Because of the newly adopted collective self-defense, now Japan can allow troops to fight overseas for the first time since World War II. I have given 3 points here. What is the meaning of collective self-defense? The first point is, Japan can mobilize forces overseas when Japan is attacked or when close ally of Japan is attacked. when Japan is attacked or close ally of Japan is attacked, then Japan can send its troops abroad. The second point is when there is no other appropriate means available to repel the attack and ensure Japan's survival and protect the people, then also Japan can send forces abroad. And third point is use of force should be restricted to bare minimum, but Japan can send its troops. Right? Why Japan changed this policy? What is the reason for this change after around 70 years? I listed out 4 points. First and the foremost is growing threats from China in East China Sea. China has got territorial disputes with Japan in East China Sea over Diaoyu Islands, and China also has got territorial disputes with the 5 countries in South China Sea, and Japan feels that it should have allies in the world so as to repel the attack of China. Second important point is this is part of United States of America's game plan having strategic ally in Asia Pacific region. All of you are well aware China and United States of America are adversaries, and USA wants to have strategic allies in Asia Pacific region. That's why USA is establishing its strategic ties with Japan, Philippines, Australia and many more countries. Right? Third point is changed global political order due to threats from several groups. At present, in the year 2015, the world is not the same as it was before. There are several threats from terrorist groups, and world as a whole is facing biggest threat from divisive forces, and under these circumstances, Japan thought to have some group of countries to protect its interests. The fourth one is more active defense cooperation in Asia Pacific region. In Asia Pacific region, so as to have more defense cooperation with Australia on the one side and Philippines on the other side and USA, and this is basically so as to act as countering China's aggressiveness. China is planning aggressively both economically and strategically through its Silk Road and Maritime Silk Road programs so as to thwart the threat from China. Japan is now changed the strategy, right? And what is the reaction from world leaders? United States of America says it will allow Japan to participate in global peacekeeping mission. What China says? Historical shame. Yielding to the pressure tactics of United States of America. What South Korea says? The relations between South Korea and Japan are also not on right way. South Korea says Japan should stick to the spirit of pacifist constitution. And some people feel Japan is being dragged by United States. United States is entering into several conflicts across the world. Especially it is entering into several conflicts in Middle East, and observers say US is dragging Japan also into these conflicts. And what is the future scenario? With this change in self-defense doctrine to collective self-defense doctrine, what is going to be the future scenario? Future scenario, if you look at the USA, Japan may become quite closer to USA further. And if you look at South Korea, the relations between South Korea and Japan may further strain, and prior to 1945, South Koreans and Chinese were treated as slaves by Japanese, And if you look at China, this may result in heightening of territorial and political tensions with China. Already Japan has got territorial disputes with China. So with the entry of United States of America strategically into the Japan territorial region, probably this may lead to proxy war between China and United States of America in future, right? So this is the future scenario because of the change in doctrine of defense policy of Japan from self-defense doctrine to collective self-defense doctrine, and now the troops of Japan may be sent anywhere across the world if Japan is attacked or close ally of Japan is attacked, right? Let us hope world to achieve peace without these wranglings, right? So let us hope peace to prevail across the globe in due course of time, right? Thank you. Have a nice day. Please do join for questions and answers advanced as well as questions and answers general and banking. Have a nice day. Thank you.